Good morning and welcome to the Town of Hempstead 9/11 Memorial Ceremony. I'm Supervisor John Ferretti. Thank you all for joining us here at beautiful Town Park at Point Lookout as we remember the thousands of men and women who lost their lives on September 11th, 2001, and in the years following that tragic day. There are several locations within the Town of Hempstead where on a clear day you can see the New York City skyline. This site is one of those locations. 24 years ago today, many town residents came here to confirm with their own eyes what was being reported on television and radio stations across the United States. Smoke rising from the place where the majestic Twin Towers once stood. Since that day, this site has served as a place of remembrance, healing, and peace for families and friends who lost loved ones on September 11th on that day of tragedy. We welcome you all and thank you all for coming back once again. Would everyone please rise as the Rockville Center Fire Department advances the colors, led by bagpiper Bobby Hughes of the Nassau County Firefighters, Pipes and Drums. Please remain standing as I call upon Congressman Anthony D'Esposito, former chief of the Island Park Fire Department, retired NYP detective, and former Town of Hempstead councilman, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Supervisor Ferretti. Those in uniform, hand salute. Everyone else, hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
Thank you, Congressman Anthony D'Esposito. Please remain standing as the Kellenberg Memorial High School Gregorian Consortium leads us in our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched
That was wonderful. Thank you to the Gregorian Consortium. Please remain standing as Father Michael Duffy, the rector of the St. Agnes Cathedral in Rockville Center, offers today's invocation. Father. Thank you, Supervisor.
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, as we gather on this day to remember, we ask your blessings upon us and upon these proceedings. In a particular way on this day, we ask, O Lord, your blessings upon our nation so bitterly divided, that we might recover once again the unity we felt the day after 9/11, to be able to come together to speak to one another, to hold hands with one another, to find a path forward, a path of unity, a path of peace, a path of dialogue. Bless the memories of those who have died on this day 24 years ago, and those who have died since because of their heroic efforts working at Ground Zero. Bless our men and women in blue, our firefighters, our first responders, all those who seek to serve and not be served, all those who seek to help. Thank you, Lord, for their inspiration to each of us. Thank you for bringing us to this moment, that we might be together as one town, as one people, as one nation. We ask your blessing upon us, upon our families, and upon this nation, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Father Duffy. 24 years ago this morning at 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11, carrying 92 people from Boston to Los Angeles, was hijacked by terrorists and crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. At 9:03 a.m., the hijacked United Airlines Flight 175 from Boston to Los Angeles, carrying 65 people, crashed into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. All 65 people on board were killed. Within 1 hour of impact, the South Tower collapsed at 9:59 a.m., followed by the collapse of the North Tower just 29 minutes later at 10:28 a.m. More than 2,700 people died that day, including 343 firefighters, 23 NYPD police officers, and 37 Port Authority police officers. At 9:37 a.m., hijackers crashed into American Airlines Flight 77 into the Pentagon, killing all 64 people on board and 125 people in the building. At 10:03 a.m., heroic passengers on board United Airlines Flight 93 fought against the terrorists who had taken control of their plane, crashing it into the field in Pennsylvania before it could reach its intended target somewhere in the vicinity of Washington, D.C. All 44 people aboard were killed. Hempstead Town also remembers the thousands of people who have lost their lives to 9/11-related illnesses, including many local police officers, firefighters, and other emergency responders. 304 names have been added to the town's 9/11 memorial wall since last year. 304 more names, bringing the total number of casualties to 4,864. We in the town of Hempstead have vowed to never forget the victims of September 11th. At this time, we will commence with the ringing of the fire bell in memory of those lost. Ringing the bell is John Rodcamp of the Levittown Fire Department. John served as Deputy Chief under Levittown Fire Department Chief Ronnie Kerwin, an FDNY lieutenant who died on September 11, 2001, while helping to evacuate people from the towers. John, please ring the bell, which will be followed by a moment of silence. Thank you to the Rockville Center Fire Department, to John Rodkamp, and to Bobby Hughes of the Nassau County Firefighters, Pipes and Drums. Everyone, please be seated. Before we continue with our program, I would like to recognize my colleagues on the Hempstead Town Board. We have with us today our Deputy Supervisor, Dorothy Gooseby, Councilman Dennis Dunn Sr., a veteran of the United States Marines, Councilman Tommy Muscarella, Councilwoman Melissa Miller, Councilwoman Laura Ryder, Councilman Chris Schneider, our Town Clerk, Kate Murray, and Receiver of Taxes, Janine Driscoll. Also joining us this morning, we've already met him, but our Congressman Anthony D'Esposito. We have with us our Rockville City Mayor, Fran Murray, Island Park Mayor, Mike McGinty, New Hyde Park Mayor, Chris Devane, Assemblyman Ari Brown, New York State Senator Steve Rhodes. We're also joined by former Town of Hempstead Councilman Gary Hughes. Also today, we're joined by Barbara Beckwith and her family. Barbara's late husband, Bob, was a 30-year veteran of the FDNY and a first responder on that fateful day. Bob is remembered fondly all over the world as a beacon of resilience and hope after being photographed in a striking image on the pile at Ground Zero with President George W. Bush. Barbara, thank you for being here. I'd also like to thank Mr. Alexander Bazile and the Gregorian Consortium of Kellenberg Memorial High School, if we can give them a round of applause. Thank you to Stop and Shop in West Hempstead and Reworld for their generous donations of carnations. Thank you to Flowers by Rachel for creating the beautiful flowers and memorial wreath. And I also want to thank Matt from Days at the Beach, Inc. for creating the beautiful sand sculpture to the left of the stage. We have some beautiful American flag arches I'm sure you all saw when you drove in this morning, and I'd like to thank the Island Park Fire Department, the Merrick Fire Department, the Levittown Fire Department, the Woodmere Fire Department, Point Lookout Lido Fire Department, and the Baldwin Fire Department. Let's give them all a round of applause. And lastly, I'd like to thank the Town Parks Department staff for working so hard on getting the beach ready today for all of us to be here. Let's give them a round of applause. And all and every participant and everyone here in the audience, let's give yourselves a round of applause as well for being here. The Town of Hempstead has held a 9/11 memorial ceremony here at Town Park at Point Lookout for more than 2 decades. One of the very unique components of this event is that with each passing year, public participation increases, and I think we see that holds true today. The enduring tragedy of September 11th is that it continues to take lives nearly a quarter of a century later, and likely will claim others in the years to come. Due to the ever-increasing number of deaths from 9/11 related illnesses, there are families who may be attending this event for the first time, joining those who lost a loved one perhaps 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or even on September 11, 2001 itself. But whether it's your first time here or you've come many years, Hempstead Town welcomes you into this family of love, understanding, and support. This is your home. Here, we encourage you to remember and to grieve in your own way. Today is not the day to watch political pundits debate the legacy of September 11th. It's not a day for social media influencers. There are people you may encounter later today who will be disrespectful, even hateful. We've seen that in the last 24 hours. But ignore them. Try to ignore them. It's not their day. Today is your day. Whether you're here to remember a loved one, to reflect, to be sad or to be angry, to share in the camaraderie of your peers, or simply feel like you have to be here. Take solace in knowing that this will always be a safe place for you and your family. Beyond the victims of September 11th, the town of Hempstead also remembers the brave American soldiers who enlisted in the aftermath of the attacks to serve our country during the War on Terror, the 20-year war. Many gave their lives overseas to defend our freedom and democracy back home. For the first time at this event, our township also wishes to recognize the heroic efforts of Town of Hempstead residents who served in the New York City Corrections Department at Rikers Island in the fall of 2001. Often referred to as the forgotten heroes of September 11th, these brave men and women played a pivotal role in the rescue and recovery at Ground Zero. In addition to the Correction Department's highly trained emergency response unit, dozens of Rikers Island workers were also dispatched to Ground Zero to help people to safety who had just escaped the burning towers. Marine patrol boats from Rikers rescued some 3,000 people who were trapped in Lower Manhattan and transported them to Brooklyn. To assist in the recovery effort, Rikers Island provided more than 1,000 workers, 80 generators, 500-gallon water tanks, blankets, and other essential supplies. Their staff rigged up power stations and communication lines for a Ground Zero base of operation at Stuyvesant High School. They set up a temporary morgue at Bellevue Hospital and took on the horrifying but essential mission of sifting through dirt and evidence of buckets to recover remains and any valuables that could help identify victims. When Lower Manhattan area was cordoned off by New York State Police, Rikers staff assisted in developing and processing ID cards and codes for essential personnel. Rikers Island lost 43 people on September 11th and dozens more to 9/11 related illnesses. Some of the men and women who served in 2001 are here with us today, and we are proud to recognize your bravery and sacrifice. At this time, it's my honor to introduce Rabbi Eli Wanstock of the Jewish Center of Atlantic Beach to say a few words. Rabbi.
Today is a day about numbers. Numbers forever etched in our memory, upon our hearts. The numbers 911. They were part of our consciousness for nearly 60 years, as the number was chosen here in the U.S. as the numbers for the nationwide emergency system. Brief, easy to remember. Back then, they were easy to dial, especially on a rotary phone. If you don't know what that is, ask someone a little older than you. The number's unique. In fact, Congress passed legislation to reserve the numbers 911 exclusively for emergency use. No area codes, no service codes, no office codes. 911, numbers associated with help, with healing, with saving. 9/11. On September 11th, 2001, those numbers were transformed into numbers that represented hate, evil, death, destruction, sadness. The thousands murdered on that day, nearly a quarter from here in Long Island, and the numbers, as the supervisor mentioned, growing each year with those who pass away due to 9/11 related illnesses. The numbers of the floors in the towers, the precinct, the engine numbers, the ladder numbers, the numbers of family members left behind. But the numbers over these past years have been transformed once again into numbers of resolve, of commitment, of faith, of healing, and of hope. The numbers of children and grandchildren born, the numbers of families expanding, numerous memories, along with innumerous tears, infinite memories. 9/11 has turned into a symbol where the numbers are coalescing around finding a way to move forward in dignity, in hope, in grace, in gladness, and ultimately to joy. On a day like today, as we look at the flag billowing in the breeze, the number 50, 50 states, the number one nation under God. Each year we commemorate, and faith traditions have different ways of commemorating the anniversaries of passings of loved ones, commemorations, memorials. In the Jewish tradition, it's called Yom HaShana, the day of the year. Some call it a Yahrzeit, which is a Yiddish term. It's a day on the year, each year, that we commemorate. The word Shana may be familiar to you from Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. What that is another day of commemoration, of memory. And the word Shana means to repeat, but it also means to internalize and to learn. Because the only way we can learn and to grow is to repeat, is to remember, is to recount, is to be inspired. We remember and honor each year to deepen and strengthen our commitment to the memories of those murdered, of the fallen. Each year we remember again and again to internalize their legacies, strengthening our resolve to keep living for them. I close with the words of Psalm 20, a psalm of David. May the Lord answer you in times of trouble. May he grant you your desire and fulfill your every plan towards life. May we ultimately shout for joy and victory. Our enemies, they use chariots, they use horses, they use hate, they use airplanes, they use violence. But we call out in the name of the Lord our God. They collapse. They collapse lives, they collapse buildings, they cause despair and distress and anguish. But we rally and we gather strength. And on this day of numbers, 9/11, 9/11, may we turn that sadness into resolve, the pain into progress, into hope. And, O Lord, grant victory. May God answer us when we call. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. The town of Hempstead lost many lives to September 11, 2001. Each year, the town of Hempstead features a keynote speaker who was impacted by the tragic events of September 11th. Belmore resident and FDNY firefighter Steve Marsar was off duty on September 11, 2001. But he grabbed his gear and raced towards Ground Zero, arriving shortly after the towers fell. He joined in the massive rescue and recovery effort. Steve also served as a peer support counselor with the FDNY Counseling Service Unit and the Nassau County Critical Incident Stress Management Team. In those roles, Steve provided mental health and trauma counseling to countless firefighters who had responded to serious emergencies, including the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. His goal was to ensure that America's bravest understood that certain feelings and emotions were not uncommon, and they should feel comfortable sharing and addressing their mental health. Steve is officially retired from the FDNY as a battalion chief, effective just yesterday. Congratulations. But he continues to serve with the Belmore Fire Department and various Nassau fire agencies. Please give him a warm Town of Hempstead welcome. Hempstead Town's Steve Marsar.
Good morning. I stand before you today in proud memory of Captain Bernard Richard, firefighters Richard T. Muldowney Jr., Vinnie Princiata, Bob Fode, Chuck Mendez, George Kane, Doug Oldsager, Lieutenant Kenny Fallon, the 335 other FDNY firefighters and fire officers, 2 FDNY paramedics, 23 NYPD officers, 37 Port Authority police officers, 8 EMTs and paramedics from private ambulance companies, and of course, the 2,819 innocent civilians who were murdered on September 11, 2001. I'm humbled to have been invited here and honored to represent the FDNY as together we commemorate those who gave their lives in New York City, Washington, D.C., Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and just as importantly, each of you who are here to immortalize the phrase, "We will never forget." I'd like to thank the town of Hempstead officials for organizing this and for keeping this tradition going. Although this time of year is my favorite time of year of the 4 seasons, like many of you, I become very nostalgic, heavy-hearted, melancholy, not just because summer has ended and school is starting and the craziness of the fall and winter holiday routines are hanging over our heads, but because every perfectly clear blue sky fall day, just like today, reminds me of September 11, 2001. Looking back on September 11, 2001, it was a beautiful, sunny day here in Nassau and in New York City, 64 degrees at 8 a.m., with clear blue skies and not a cloud in sight, just like today. There was a slight, gentle breeze. It was the kind of day that makes you go outside and say, damn, it's nice out here. For me, as it was mentioned, it was the first morning of my scheduled vacation, which was my first stroke of luck that day and the only reason I'm able to stand here before you. At that time, I was a 12-year veteran of Ladder Company 7 in the FDNY, on the cusp of becoming a senior firefighter and waiting on the promotional list to become a lieutenant. It was primary day in New York City, and a group of us were meeting at the fire academy to do pole sitting for one of the mayoral hopefuls. He lost, by the way. While driving on the Long Island Expressway, which some of you know is New York's longest parking lot, I was listening to the jokes and laughter of the Z100 morning show with Elvis Duran. They interrupted the news that something was happening at the World Trade Center. Someone said a plane had crashed into one of the towers and there was smoke coming from it. The time was 8:46 a.m. I remember thinking that there was no way that someone could fly a plane into that tower on a day like today by mistake. I reached under the driver's seat of my car and I took out an old scanner that I was using to study for the lieutenant's test to learn our radio codes. I had to play with it for a little bit, but I finally got it working, and I heard the incident commander and fire units responding to the World Trade Center's North Tower. A few minutes later, a panicked voice on the radio from an FDNY fireboat officer gave an urgent message that a plane had just flown into the South Tower. Even the dispatcher was in disbelief and said, "We know. We have a confirmed plane into the North Tower, and we've already transmitted a third alarm." The fireboat officer quickly and abruptly corrected the dispatcher by saying, "No, we have a second plane, an airliner, just crashed into the second tower." Silence. The time was 9:03 a.m., and it was obvious to everyone that this was no accident. Almost immediately, urgent messages were being transmitted from the command post to assign a fifth alarm to each of the World Trade Center towers, bringing 300 firefighters to each of those buildings. And it was also in order to recall all off-duty firefighters to their firehouses. That was only the second time in the FDNY's 161-year history where that was done. Ironically, the first time was in 1945 when a B-25 plane crashed into the Empire State Building, but that was in a dense fog. It was then that I drove directly to my firehouse on the east side of Manhattan, which is located just 5 miles north of the World Trade Center. The 2 fire trucks there, Engine Company 16 and Ladder Company 7, had already responded. The dispatch ticket in the firehouse showed that they were directed to the lobby command post of number 2 World Trade Center, which is the South Tower. Within minutes, 14 off-duty firefighters were in our firehouse in answer to the recall. Our captain, who was a little bit of a brown-noser, told us to put on our uniform. I hope he's not here. He lives in Long Beach. He told us to put our ID cards in our front left pockets, gather our firefighting gear, and to stand by. The dispatchers at the time were attempting to find out how many firefighters were in each firehouse and any firehouses in Manhattan that had fire trucks. I know that sounds odd. All the firefighters, including myself, urged the captain to let us go down and help fight what was surely the biggest fire of our careers. He wouldn't let us go, and that saved my life the second time that day. Minutes later, the South Tower collapsed, and the captain, Nick Gaudiosi, turned to me and said, "We just lost 200 firefighters." The time was 9:59 a.m. With that, in one collective thought and without saying a single word, all of us firefighters grabbed our gear and told the captain we were leaving. "You could go or you could stay, but we're leaving." We went down the corner, we commandeered a New York City transit bus, We kicked all the civilians off and we told the driver, get us to the World Trade Center, which he did. When we arrived just 2 blocks from the Trade Center, the North Tower collapsed and the time was 10:28 a.m. As we drove into the dust cloud, the driver asked what he should do. He couldn't see where he was going and he stopped. We opened the doors, we pulled some people onto the bus, and we got off and made our way towards where the World Trade Center once stood. We heard rumors over the police radios that a bomb had exploded at the Empire State Building, the White House, the Pentagon, and that a third plane was on its way. A short time later, we heard jet engines. Everyone stopped and looked towards the murky sky. What were they going to crash this plane into? Why would they crash another plane into this burning pile of rubble? After seeing 2 Air Force F-14 fighter jets, we were all renewed with a new sense of urgency to do our jobs and to complete the rescue work, which was our mission. It was obvious after digging a short time that we needed heavy construction equipment to complete and be effective. And frustrated, I remember looking up and seeing 5 high-rise office buildings with fires on multiple floors burning all around us. On any normal day, each one of those fires would have been a multiple alarm assignment. But today, we were allowing them to burn as we searched for survivors. It was very surreal. At one point, we came across the driver of Engine Company 16. He was dazed from what he had witnessed and from after surviving the collapse of both towers. He told us that all the members of Engine 16 were accounted for except for their lieutenant. And he did hear Ladder 7, my company, on the radio, but he couldn't remember if it was before or after the collapses. After what seemed like only a couple of hours, we were ordered off the pile to take refuge across the street at the World Financial Center. This was due to the imminent collapse of one of the burning buildings. Hundreds of firefighters stood around, unaccustomed to doing nothing. We talked out loud, although I can't recall what about. We were still confident that we were going to find people, and we were frustrated that they were stopping us from doing so. Then at 5:20 p.m., 7 World Trade Center collapsed. We heard the rumble, but the ground never shook. We waited for the dust cloud to come like it did from the towers. It never came, so we all went right back to work. At some point, I found another firefighter with a working cell phone, and I attempted to call my 10-year-old daughter. I wanted to let her know that I was all right and alive. I spoke to my ex-wife, which will straighten anybody out, but not to my daughter. The cell signal was weak and fading, and there was still rescue work to be done. Not understanding the emotional strain on my daughter, it took me 3 days to actually go finally find her. I was unaware that she really needed to see for herself that her father was indeed okay. It was during that visit that I learned my cell phone call was at 7:30 at night. I thought it was hours early. In the midst of the first battle of the War on Terror, myself and the world had lost track of time. In the early morning hours of September 12th, we were ordered to leave the site and go back to our firehouse. Hitching a ride, we arrived to find other off-duty firefighters cleaning Ladder 7's fire truck, which had been found underneath the collapsed debris. Some family members and neighbors were there, and a makeshift memorial had already begun. All the members of Engine Company 16 from our firehouse were now all accounted for, but not their fire truck. There was no word from any of the members of Ladder Company 7, but their fire truck was found. As their families called the firehouse, we had no answer except to say they were presumed missing, although in our hearts we knew the harsher reality. Succumbing to our body's physical exhaustion and emotional stress, we attempted to sleep for a few hours. At 7 a.m. the next day, we divided our duties. Some firefighters responded to emergencies, some went back to the pile, while others were assigned as liaisons for the families of the missing firefighters. And we were there to help them and do anything and everything we could while we waited for word. It took months to recover our lost brothers, and today, all but one of them has been identified and buried. Of course, that day did have its share of miracles, mine pale in comparison to that of Lieutenant Mickey Cross of our firehouse's Engine 16. Mickey was buried with 12 other firefighters, an NYPD sergeant, and a female office worker that they were carrying down the stairs in the South Tower. We didn't know why at the time, but while we were digging, every once in a while on September 11th, we were told to stop. That stoppage resulted in an eerie silence, just like that, even though all that chaos around us. And we didn't know at the time why we were stopping. It turns out that there was a deputy chief at the top of the pile who made radio contact with these firefighters who were trapped. They knew they were trapped in the B stairwell of the North Tower, What they didn't know was the magnitude of the collapses. The chief couldn't bring himself to tell them that no one could identify the North Tower, much less the B stairwell. 110 stories had fallen on their heads, Yet 8 of those firefighters and the female office worker they were carrying down the stairs survived and literally crawled out from beneath the rubble. Lieutenant Mickey Cross of Engine 16 walked the 5 miles back to the firehouse, white, covered in ash, disorientated, and with a scratch on his nose. Truly a miracle. Amid all the controversy, the stories, the tragedies of that single day, I ask each of you to remember how this country and the world came together, how each of you, or us, was changed, how we tolerated much more than usual. We prioritized our lives and we looked at each other differently than we did before. Trivial things were just that, trivial. And if you'll do me a favor, look at the person on your left, or the dolphins in the ocean. And now look at the person on your right, or the dunes. It's said that 2 out of every 3 people who come to a beach early in September mornings are psychologically unstable. So if the person on your left looks good and the person on your right looks good, you're the one who's psychologically unstable. Could be me. But seriously, while we memorialize all those that lost their lives that day, let us make a promise to ourselves, to each other, to those around us, to go back to the months that followed September 11th, to hold on to the simple things in life, and to work and love each other without boundaries. Let us not forget those that are currently risking their lives to protect us this very second, both in the emergency services at home and in the armed forces around the world. Let us remember that we are all united and created equal. Also, I want to mention that you should take time to take care of yourselves. Think of September 11th as a book on a shelf. Every once in a while when you walk past the shelf, it's okay to take it down, open it up, and let your emotions run free. Then, place it back on the shelf and go on with your lives. On those days where that damn book falls off the shelf, hits you in the head for no apparent reason, it's normal. Allow yourself to react and have those feelings, just like today. Although your wounds have healed, the scars of September 11th will never go away. It's okay not to be okay. And if you need help, please reach out. There are a multitude of resources available through the town of Hempstead and the county. Now, if you'll indulge me for just one more minute, if you can, please rise. If you're already standing, please empty your hands, put whatever you're holding down. That's awesome. Nobody listens to me at home or at work. Yet I can get you people to stand. This is awesome. I want to take a moment for us to show how deeply committed we truly are, not just by saying the words, but by living the phrase, never forget. Rather than another moment of respectful silence, which is all well and good, when I count to 3, I invite all of you to join with me. With all your enthusiasm and all your might, let us all yell and scream and clap and make as much noise as we can so that the victims of September 11, 2001 will hear us in heaven and they'll know that we have not forgotten. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah! Thank you for never forgetting.
Thank you once again to Steve Marsar. Let's give him one more round of applause, please. Incredible speech. Thank you, Steve. Over the past 2 decades, Steve and so many other keynote speakers have provided devastating and heartbreaking stories of loss, pain, and grief. Indeed, the recounting of the events of September 11th is truly an emotional experience. But it's also an important part of remembering what took place that day and ensuring that we never forget those who lost their lives. Now, at the same time, we've always sought to create an uplifting and inspirational conclusion to this annual ceremony. Please welcome back a longtime participant in this event, Captain Freddie McFarland of the Levittown Fire Department for a special performance.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Come on, let him hear it. Freddie McFarland. Thank you so much, Fred. We now welcome a powerful and inspirational speaker who has been part of this event for the past 2 decades. Please give a warm welcome to Reverend Dr. Eric Millett of the Greater Second Baptist Church of Freeport.
Supervisor John Ferretti, Deputy Supervisor Dorothy Goolsby, honored members, Town of Hempstead Board, clergy, Deus guests, family, and my American family. My American family. Today we have gathered once again across this great land, remembering what took place 24 years ago, to honor the memory of every loved one who lost their life on the battlefield we called Ground Zero, and for those who have transitioned after 9/11 as a result of their being there on site on that fateful day. Let me say to those who were counting on us to put 9/11 behind us and forget our loved ones, I say to them today, take a good look around this beach today and see for yourself. Take a good look. We will never forget, and we will always show up. We will always share in a unified effort from all walks of life, showing our great and never-ending bond of what true American patriotism is all about. To those who would have us to just move on, see our strength, see our love, and our commitment to our American families. See how we stand together, united in total solidarity. See how we have grown in number. Look around. See how we are more committed to this country more than ever before. If you read the memo, if you look at it, you would know that Americans never quit and we never give up. You think you know us, the enemies, those who really don't know us? Know that we never give up and we never quit. See us on this day, 24 years have passed, but we are just as proud to live for, ready to fight for, and if necessary, die for our great land, America. Listen, always remember, and this is to all of us who are here today, remember who you are. Remember, we were born to always stand our ground. We never stand down, and we will never fall back or retreat in the face of any enemy. We are here to honor the families of our brave men and women who have lost their lives. Those who are there in those towers reporting for work, and to our first responders, we are here to honor them. Your lost loved ones will always be in the hearts and minds of all of us here today and across this great nation. You are not alone. You are not alone. Just look around and see our compassion and love that we have for you on this day. God bless our men and women who serve in this our great military. Thank God for true American warriors, fighters standing in the face of danger and even death. We ought to give them a hand. Yes, we're proud. We're proud of them. And thank God for our brave men and women in blue. We back the blue. We back the blue. We back our blue. Thank God for our firefighters. Yes. These men and women are drawn to sacrifice. They risk their lives for our sons and daughters, mothers and fathers. They give of themselves, not for glory, not for fame, not for accolades and all of that, but because they have a sense of duty and honor. And we say to you today, you may be battered, wounded, worn, yet the badge of honor that you wear stands as a shield of courage as you fight side by side in the heat of summer and in the freezing cold. Charge is the call. Onward! They lay not their helmets down, but rather they stand and fight between us and harm's way. Whoever you are, you may never get a chance to say thank you to them. We may never have had the chance to say thank you to them, but we on this day and every day we say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your duty. Thank you for your honor, and thank you for your sacrifice. You will never be forgotten. I have to put this in. I have to say this. I say to the disloyal, ungrateful people who live in this great country, if you don't love our land, if you have so much to say against our great nation, you can leave. We love our country. If you don't love our country, The door is open. You can leave. We'll help you go. You don't have to stay here. Because whether you like it or not, in our country called America, guess what? We stand for our national anthem. So when you hear our great national anthem, you ought to get up and show some respect. And while I'm on the subject of American customs, we don't burn our flag. We don't burn our flag. We salute it, we raise it, we honor it, we defend it, and most of all, we pledge allegiance to it. And the reason I say that, and I want to say this, too many red-blooded, brave Americans have died in defense of our country under the colors of our flag. To let some unpatriotic coward desecrate or disrespect our red, white, and our blue. I'm done. I'm a former U.S. Marine, and I can tell you that America, like myself, I will never apologize for being a proud American. I will live, I will die an American. I will, like so many of you out there, will always love this country to my last breath. It feels great to be an American. Is that right? We are great. We are great. We are great. We are great. We're great. We're great because our military is great. Our police are great. Our firefighters are great. Our sons and our daughters are great. Our land is great. You are great. America is great. And most of all, God is great. Semper Fi. Stay faithful. Semper Fi. Always faithful. Semper Fidelis. Always stay faithful. God bless you all, and may God continue to bless our great America. God bless you. God bless you, and may God continue to bless you.
Let's get another round of applause for Dr. Eric Millett. Doctor, I'm sure you just said words that every person in this audience is thinking. So thank you, Dr. Millett, and God bless you. Thank you to everyone who joined us here for Long Island's largest September 11th ceremony. At the conclusion of this ceremony, I invite you all to write a message on the remembrance wall right here on the stage. Write a message on a flag and place it along the sand. Cast carnations into the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. And of course, visit our 9/11 Memorial Park on the way out. There you can take special paper to etch the name of a loved one on our memorial wall of remembrance. God bless the victims of September 11th. God bless those who have died in the years since. God bless all of you here today. And of course, may God continue to bless the greatest nation on earth, the United States of America. Thank you all for coming.